studying and Hawaii in 60s in Afghanistan, and in the north also 60s. The project is to help build the capacity of women selected women groups in those areas and some schools in terms of learning how to make input for energy or fuel saving stores and establishment of woodworks. This project is very huge. It has many partners, roads, people given the role of energy saving technologies and woodwork establishment. Other partners are working on restoration of wetlands and making sure water is clean in different areas of the country. And others are working on forestry and many other companies. But for us particularly, we are more available by saying we get groups, looking at sampling groups, how to make it like the saving source, and why definitely we should be applying it like the saving source, and why we should have a model at individual level. By the time they all participate, we are sure the community is covered with the new technologies which are different for climate. That is all on the ministry of water and environment. And these people in Kabali, these groups in Kabali, in Uganda and Uganda, and then in the north we have Otuke, Agabo, Adim, Otido, and Amobio. Those are the areas where we are. And then we have another project which is called solar cold storage. This is a project which is operated in the islands. It is a Kalangala district, but these islands where we are those far deep, far away from Kalangala, district. And these are the people, the places which we call far or hard to reach areas. It's really very hard to reach. And Mr. Chairperson, this one day we want to see such hard to reach places. And the efforts we are trying to make, I think we really appreciate. We wanted to go there, but it was like and cooking in salad. You know, the chicken salad in a red hand, you really have to be very ready for whatever comes up. So, when we selected these books, we understood even more that these are the people who are hard to get our social services, economic services, many things. They are in very harsh conditions. To get money, it's not bad. To be happy, they need stuff. So why is it there? Because renewable energy, and we decided to take them solar fridges. Why? Because they have customers. The fishermen need to keep their fish. And these women, after training them for project accounting, giving money, taking care of the customers, had six sites back over there, and each one has two big fridges, solar fridges, which they use to store fish, and the fishermen pay them money. We made it a business between them and ourselves. They give us a certain percentage and we made with a bigger percentage of their income. And for us, the money we use to help them for taking to work is an important fact, they are not doing so bad. They are really trying. And you are trying to talk to them. Because it is going on to 2021. The only problem we have is apart from the fact that people are very expensive, and of course moving on water is also difficult without small costs. The women still have the problem or weakness of trustworthy. When it comes to sending money to our office, they get all sorts of reasons for not sending money. But we don't offer the complete private side of still. We need to help them become trustworthy and manage the program very well so that they can benefit and the project goes on and perhaps replicate it elsewhere. That is solar home storage in the islands of Lake Victoria. Another project has been certified. We have worked with the agricultural organization, our, in the central cattle corridor, again with mitigating climate change effects and creating enterprises so that people don't do the conservation for the sake of conserving the environment, but they should have the benefit that is the enterprises to make money out of it. These have worked on hotel, energy saving again, stoves and baskets where you can use that old glass and briquettes and food pantry. That has happened in the project, which is known as GCCA. You will soon do it in the file. And that one also ended, but we hope that people will move forward with this activity. Those are a few of the many projects we are carrying out as a team. And my colleagues will present this also. And the last one is this car. This car is East African Civil Society for Sustainable Energy and Climate Action. This is a brief of so many words. East African Civil Society for Sustainable Energy and Climate Action. We are working out this project in Uganda, it is G. And the coalition for NGOs, then we have colleagues and partners in Tanzania, Kadedo, and Saswatch in Kenya. Why did we do this? We wanted to have an East African kind of unity when we are working on issues concerning climate change. Because we believe in Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda, we have almost similar problems concerning climate change. And when we work with the two countries together, East Africa, the message cuts across, and you can always share and see how best we can get climate change mitigation and adaptation. In Uganda's chief, we are in Nakasongola, Nakaseke, and Debi. And the activities over there, we are training people, these kind of communities, in who that counties, each of the districts, and we are training them again and again, saving technologies, necessary establishment, and enterprises, green enterprises. We emphasize green enterprises as I have just said. that in the past we used to tell people we need to practice, we need to consumption, we need to you know, and they could not see anywhere they could get money. So now whenever we train people, whether it is steel planting, water establishment, women establishment, basket, energy services, one can make money when they build stocks to others who don't have time, they can make money. And we are also planning institutional energy savings stocks in a few schools in these districts. So far, this study is not for getting that. That's what was we saw the stock of the national power school. Only to show that schools that they can sell on firewood, which is so much, which is scarce and which is expensive. When they see one school or two using an energy saving store, which saves a very big percentage of money, then others will be interested to do the same. Or the parents will be interested to fundraise and get money to build this house. The schools, as you may all know, has a lot of wood or trees below that, and they buy trucks and trucks. And they use them in that open fireplace, as we said, we have to do for them. And it takes them lot. They cut so much, and they use so much money. So, the stove which we get stored, if the school was using some 15 to 20 trucks a time, it will go down to 1 or 2 only. Same people, same number of people, the students, and same number of years. So, this is a way we can educate the people, the educators, the schools, the Ministry of Education, that if we look into that, it will really help to save our green, our environment, our nature, and also everybody's safe. I think I could mention the rest of the projects.
My name is Afon, as I said. Thank you, CEO. That's a contribution from the CEO. So we are doing a project called the Light in Africa. The Light in Africa project, we started 2010 actually. We have distributed more than 65,000 solar lamps. These are small solar lamps of this nature. And our main aim is to see that we pick out kerosene in this home. There are many households which live without power, which is Tajoma. We have Tajoma, that's called it Tabasa. Many names. So we are distributing this in many communities, and this is sponsored by a company in Denmark called Henning. It's a utility company like the company like Umeme here. So every Danish person who pays Umeme contributes a little amount to this land. So we are, as you will see in the past, there are many districts, almost 50 plus districts that have benefited from this project. And as I say, everybody in the room knows the gender of kerosene and knows how much a kilowatt costs in Uganda and know how many areas are living outside of grid. There's many government interventions that have been done, but we also believe that there are many homes that power lines are passing and they can't afford getting power into their homes. So that is the project which is running from 2010 up to right now, and it's called the Light in Africa project. You will see more pictures are in 2017, the National Voice Authority advertised the projects that have been cut down completely by Ugandans, and they are in the fire where you see Light in Africa. Light in Africa. Down there are districts that we have so far But you are still.
very few, but you still.
There are districts that are combined. You know, there are districts that have been cut in the course of the time. From 2010, almost every year we are having many districts dying. So sometimes we have very difficult in our day. Okay. So I live like in Africa project. I was on the Jomai forest, and I was saying that in 2017 the National Forest Authority had advertised forests that had been cut down by Ugandans and were ready to be restored. Deep applied and got a chance to restore a forest in Amuria district. And we have 25 hectares that has to be restored. In 2018, we started on the process, and this is also sponsored by our partners in Denmark, the Group Bank. We are restoring 25 hectares, but so far we have done 15 hectares we have planted in 2018, 2019, and this year we shall also do 5 hectares. That is when you live in the 5, the seedlings that we have planted so far in the 15 hectares and the activities that we are doing in Ojomai. We have another project that is running that is called also again by the Group Bank, and this is energy saving and energy saving stocks promotion in schools. And this one we started in 2014. Can you I was saying that we have a project running again. Started in 2014 and still running. It's a cooperative bank in Denmark, and it's just that we are just friends, but we write to them and they are able to help Uganda. So they are our friends in Denmark, but they are sponsoring some of our projects. So we always want to see that many schools get energy, and some get energy saving stocks, others get solar. As I said, there are many places where I know that there are power lines passing, but people cannot really afford to have the power lines into their either schools, maybe hospitals, maybe homes. So we are focusing more on those areas that are off-grid, but also we are focusing more on those schools that maybe do not afford having an institution installed through their schools. So we have done, with that project, we have done 41 schools in Uganda, in various districts, as you will see. And we hope to continue, because this is a partnership that we are doing with the Group Bank. We always wish to continue with the work, but sometimes the strength or the money that they give us may not really cover the whole country. But that is, those are the 6 projects we are also looking at our climate change mitigation. Thomas will be adding on to the other projects as we continue.
The other project we're going to talk about is an initiative which GIF has started in schools, in high schools, and this was done in Soroti district, Soroti municipality, and this was covering over a period of 2 years, which was covering 7 schools, which we did as a pilot, and this was in Soroti municipality. I've shown high school, like secondary school, Alina High School, Matric Class School, Teresa, and Elim College. In this project, we are trying to initiate. By the time we grew up, schools had environmental class. It is now being phased out in most schools. So one of the things we are trying to say that is if we can compile and use the younger generation or the future generation in understanding the challenges you are facing with climate change, because there will be the future generation which is going to be catering about the generation. So in this project, this was an intervention where we created a behavior change within the young generation so they become actors. And some of the education based on technologies we train the school is making energy saving stoves using local materials, tree planting, and waste management. What you can recall, or what you can record, is the outcome from the project is because these children or the kids or the students were coming from different districts in the region. We have recorded a high number of students who were 330 students who were trained in electricity schools, passing on the message to their home districts where they're coming from. We found out that the message, we started getting a feedback from districts as far as Katakwi, calling on Jim to start the same project in those districts. Katakwi, Katamaido, whereby these children went back to their families and introduced the technology of using electricity schools. We also got some students who have managed to start community tree planting within their areas and schools. And as a pilot project, we expect that we will share it to other partners and other areas, or it can be put in as an initiative for the government. It will also help a lot in promoting behavior change within the future generations. Another project we have been carrying out has been in 6 districts of Uganda, and this is the environmental awareness project. And here the main emphasis, if you look at the first project, the SILP project, the SILP project was with students who are still in school. But the environmental awareness project was, its main focus was that the youth we have who are out of school. So this was in Moroto, Budaka, Mbale, Kapchola, Bulambuli, and Bududa. So the sampling was, we were trying to make this project as pilot projects. But as things work, we try to know best that regardless of other projects, so we will do another project within that area. We continue on cross-checking and checking on those people to see how far they are going. So in this project, a lot was done. We carried out awareness with the local leaders and introducing, bridging the gap between the youth and the local governments, lower local governments. In this project, we had so many trainings with the local leaders, the sub-county level and the district level. We had trainings of the youth in different technologies, and some of the technologies we told them about was agro-waste management, and this agro-waste management promotes backyard gardening. We also promoted the energy saving stove using local materials. Tree planting was also encouraged a lot within the youth. Water harvesting and management, whereby in some districts, if you look at some of these districts apart from Moroto and Budaka, most of these districts have abundant water, running of water. And we are trying to train them how they can harvest this water to use for farming activities within their own schools. In this project, we had partners. We get some local youth partner. This is what youth leading in environmental change. We had a partner in Budaka, Safe Neighbor Foundation, and we are with partners from Denmark, Senior Without Borders, and the Medical Center for Renewable Energy. In short, if you look at the files, we have put in the numbers which we managed to train. In tree planting, we managed to train 332 youth. We trained around 334 in energy saving stoves. Water harvesting technologies, we trained around 348 people, youth members. Food security around 322, and agro-waste management 261. The record or the achievement again we did is we were working in 11 sub-counties. And in all these sub-counties we worked in, the people we trained were advised to form a group, an environmental group, and it facilitated and assisted them to register these groups as community-based organizations within their sub-counties, so they can easily engage and benefit from government programs which, when they come in matters related to environment and climate change mitigation. There's a booklet. One last project I'll be talking about is the CAL. We managed to get you some booklets about the final report, which you can read through and be able to get them. You'll get them. But apart from the report you are getting, there are some. This was one of the most successful projects, which was worked in around 9 districts of Uganda. So we got this from different regions. And again, this is a project which we engaged some members of parliament and had a series of meetings with the members of parliament at that time. So it was a 5-year project, and we had partners from Denmark again and here. It was done in districts of Amuria, Apache, Arua, Kalangala, Kamori, Kasese, Fiji, Mukono, and Kororo. In our engagements we did was to increase the knowledge of community leaders and leaders, such as the MPs in those areas. So the selected MPs we made, the 32 MPs we made, and that in the project phase, we are mainly coming from those districts we are working in. So we met 32 MPs, and this helped us a lot building our relationships and working with the parliament as the body. We also made 251 district leaders within these districts, who also helped us a lot in the implementation of this project. We met 1,790 sub-county leaders, and this was engagement through trainings and creating awareness about the dangers of environment, dangers of climate change, and engaging them to fully own the CAL project. If you look at the files we gave you, we have tried to tabulate all the tables on the achievement. So we also engaged head teachers, which we met in these districts, because we knew that those are the voice for the young generations, and health center heads. If you talk about the LC1 and LC chairperson and PhDs, that one we made around, we engaged around 12,461 people. So this is all measures that we combat and sustain the communities in trying to solve their own problems in combating climate change. So in short, that's the project. Most of the pictures have been filed. And I don't know how the procedure will be, Mr. Chairman. We have some recommendations. I don't know if we shall wait for. We have already attached a copy of the recommendations. Can I highlight them? Okay, can I highlight the recommendations? Honorable members, I think the file is one of the last document. And so as deep and our interaction with 37 years we have been in the community, a lot has been learned. But these are some of the recommendations that we are forwarding to the committee to look at and to see how you can, as the chairman said, that this is a committee which has the best mandate to present these matters to the different stakeholders in relation to climate change emergency. One of the committee, one of our recommendations to you, Mr. Chairman, is to engage the Minister of Energy and Mineral Development. And this one, that we think that we need more intensive sensitization of communities. This includes various media outlets and gatherings about the benefits of renewable energy and energy-saving technology. Yes, for example, we believe that government has done a lot in the distribution of electricity power. But within the rural areas, something is missing. I can cite an example. Most of the engagements we have been doing with Islam. if you just go to the communities and tell them that this lamp is 500,000, the first answer the communities will be telling you that we don't have that money. The concept which I've been told to the communities is telling the communities that any person still using the Canova or the kerosene lamp is very rich. It's very rich. For example, the calculation we have been using is if someone is on a minimum using 500 shillings per day to use a kerosene lamp for 5 hours, that is getting dinner and young kids who are doing some homework in the rural area. That means in 10 days, in 5 days, or in 10 days, if you're using 500, that is 5,000. In a month, that is 15,000. That means in a year, that would be 180,000 he has to spend on kerosene. If you're buying this lamp at 30,000 or 35 or at 40, it's just automatic that the one who is buying slowly kerosene on an annual basis is spending more on buying kerosene, getting unhealthy life, getting more diseases. And this one is getting more like, because the sun is free, just be charged up in the morning and getting cleaner energy and light. So we call on the Minister of Energy to facilitate and engage more community awareness in the rural area. The other thing we could look at the ministry, that regardless of the promotion, we have perceived that the biggest challenge in the community, that fake products, renewable energy products are in the market. So, on the market, and this one clearly reach the communities who don't have the word or the efforts to identify a genuine and a fake lamp. So we call on the Ministry of Energy that they should, and the National Bureau of Standards, to engage, to put more efforts in standardizing and labeling genuine products on the market. So with the committee, I know you can engage these people more than you can do that. Mr. Chairman, another recommendation is we appreciate a lot what the Ghana Police did of instituting the Environmental Protection Police. But as current, if you look at most of the police stations these days, at least there's more recruitment of police officers. But as the Ghana Police, we call for more supervision and engagement, that at least one officer at every police station should be focusing on the Environmental Protection Department. We have the CID, you can find the family, you can find the crime intelligence, different departments, land matters. So at least they should recruit one person specifically go and closely monitor the environmental issues and cases, case-related matters at the police stations. This needs no extra costs, extra finances, but just an allocation to the Ugandan police. Yeah. Mr. Chairman, about the NEMA, we have good laws on how we have a decentralized system on the environmental committees. We have a policy or law regulation to have committees from the district to the village level. Mr. Chairman, we call on your committee to discuss with NEMA so that these committees become more effective. You find out that even at the sub-county level, these committees are not disputed. Regardless that they are mandatory to be there. More about NEMA is the comparison of the NEMA certification and the ban on plastics. We call the committee that more emphasizes it. Mr. Chairman, as the good thing you have put them was that you can take more time to see our recommendation. We have a recommendation on that, timely delivery of products and tree planting materials. We also call that. Mr. Chairman, that key issue is about the Ministry of Health. As a health centers, we have a team of volunteers, every health teams, and they are doing a big work and a good work because they engage the communities on a daily basis. We call on the Ministry of Health to restructure or to redesign the package, the training package they are giving to the communities, and they should engage climate matters to the communities. Since stating the point about the dangers of pollution using the Kadova, the dangers of pollution, the indoor pollution using and promotion of using energy saving stores. This is just redesigning the program which they are talking to the community because they have the time to discuss that. Mr. Chairman, we also comment one key issue we have talked about. I'll go to the engagement of the Ministry of Education. One of the dangers we have is not the job of coming to Kampala. One of the dangers we have is the fuel wood used in schools. The government initiative that students at the schools should provide lunch should also encourage that all these schools should have energy saving stores. It is a priority. We have seen that energy saving stores for most schools which have constructed energy saving stores who have been using around 3 to 4 trucks of firewood. If they have constructed energy saving stores, they are using 1 truck per ton. That is economically viable, and these are institutions which are buying in bulk, whereby if it needs to buy a room for a yard, then it just be around 10 acres of tree plant, trees to feed the students. So we thought that it would emphasize that all schools should have energy saving stores. With that, Mr. Chairman, we thank you very much. Those are these recommendations to the committee.
Okay, thank you, Chief, for the presentation. I know members have been noting, but before we proceed, I want to know can you introduce yourself? Yeah, members, I think you have got the questions for these people. We want to pass the presentation out to Bella. One reason why we have brought you together is we are working on related things, but there is no time you can come together and say, since we are in Amoria, let us join hands and work on energy saving stores. The same problem is with the MDAs. You get they are working on climate change issues. Montreal Protocol is in NEMA. UNCCP is in agriculture. UNFCCC is in the Ministry of Water and Environment. Sendai Protocol is framework is in OPM. These people are working in this category. So we think if you are working in a particular sub-county, sometimes it is good to combine resources. But also, we don't want to take resources from Ministry of Energy for Amoria, where you have already covered all the households for energy saving technology. This will promote coordination. So we can allow Bella to present, and then we shall talk to you all the comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The colleagues that came in later, I'm going from Ruga to work with Bella Uganda. And if I may take it from where the Chair just mentioned, the issue of coordination and collaboration. We are actually happy that we are here together with the team because we work together under one umbrella. And we have people cautious the areas they are covering so that we want to protect our intervention. But first of all, to thank you, Chair, and the committee for inviting us here. We want to say that as a tenant, we are friends of parallel. Because many times we've invited some guidance from you, Chair, in terms of time, so that we structure our submissions accordingly. I will take about 5 minutes or less, and then I'll allow my colleagues to come in probably for 10 minutes or so, and then we'll listen. Like I said, Chair, upon receiving this invitation, we generated some write-ups, and we will be sharing with the clerk and the office to further scrutiny. But just for the information to members here, when we read the letter, we interested in our specific intervention towards climate change emergency. So we generated a simple tool that we shall be sharing that is capturing our specific projects that are responding to climate change issues. We also captured the specific initiatives, the best practices that we are promoting, the methodology, how we are doing it, and the results so far. We have achieved through these interventions, the districts we have reached, and the rough estimate, the cost that we are incurring in undertaking this intervention. So we will be sharing this information appropriately with the office of the clerk. But just to say that PELAM Uganda is a network organization. In Uganda, we are a network of 56 members. And these members are NGOs, the organizations spread across the country in 102 districts. So I would be right to say that we are working in 102 districts, because this is where our 56 members are spread. Beyond Uganda, PELAM is a regional network. We have PELAM in Southern Africa, PELAM in Central Africa, PELAM in Eastern Africa. And together we work with over 250 civil society organizations in Africa. This is where we derive our mandate to do our work. And mainly we work with smallholder farmers in the rural areas. And throughout the 25 years, this year we are making 25 years in Uganda. We established in 1995. We have been able to reach slightly over 3 million smallholder farmers through our interventions, mainly in the areas of sustainable farming systems, where we build the capacity of our member organizations to train the farmers in sustainable farming systems, including responding to climate issues by practicing climate resilient agriculture. So we train them on best practices, we share knowledge and skills, and build their capacity to be able to produce in the sector sustainably. We have also been able to, over the years, to establish our network with the local governments, the districts we work, and we supported them specifically in the area of environmental protection, the area of disaster risk reduction, and related areas of water and governance. I'm glad to mention now that we are working on a district ordinance in one of the districts. This is Amuru district. They approached us and they were facing a challenge of massive cutting of trees to charcoal burning. And the district chair requested if we could do something for them. They wanted to come up with a bylaw to stop the indiscriminate cutting of trees. So we drafted for them an ordinance. They have tabled it to the council for the first reading, and we hope that by the end of the second quarter, they should be having a bylaw working to try and address the challenges they are facing. So these are some of the things we are doing with the local governments. And then nationally, of course, we're working with the various committees of Parliament, including this committee and the Committee on Agriculture, the Committee on Infrastructure, Social Services, to ensure that we add our voice on passing policies and laws that respond to the aspirations of our people. In terms of specifically climate change as an organization, we are responding and contributing to Sustainable Development Goal 13 and 15, and not just in one, but these are embedded in our strategic plan and also reflected in our advocacy plan in the work we do around climate change. I will allow my colleagues, especially Eric, to come in and give us more of the technical details of our initiatives that we are undertaking to respond to climate change emergency. But before Eric, I will invite Mary to add on what I've just mentioned in terms of our work aspect, where we work, how we do it, and what actually we do. Mary.
Thank you, thank you once again for inviting us today. Always invite you, but this time you have invited us, and we look forward to more discussions like this with climate change policy. My colleague was about Stella, and I'm not sure if everyone knows Stella. Stella is the special resource for land use plan. That is Stella. I was asking what is Stella.
Then you call it participatory economic?
Participatory ecological land use management. That is wonderful. And we have a strategic plan. This theme is nurturing renewable ecosystems, guaranteeing food systems. And under this strategic plan, it's going to be highlighted. We have one of our areas of focus, which is programs and services. And the key strategies we are applying under this is we promote sustainable farming systems, do a lot of work under seed security, climate resilience, agroecology, indigenous knowledge, and food and agriculture. We have a number of publications around this. We are promoting the road, we are promoting agroecology. And last year, we had the first agroecology symposium, whereby we intend to develop a national agroecology strategy, because we believe agroecology is the answer to climate change. My colleague Eric will be talking, he will be sharing with you what agroecology is exactly, and how we can work together with this community to ensure this will have that framework in place, the strategy in place. We already have people we are working with under Ministry of Agriculture and under Ministry of Water. So we feel that the climate change committee can come in handy to also support us to have that framework in place. We tend to have this process within this committee. In terms of advocacy, we do a lot of advocacy around climate change when it comes to the environment. It's embedded in our advocacy strategy. We have been part of different groups that have been working frameworks like the MED3, group reading and climate change in the MED3. We have been on the working committees in the Ministry of Agriculture to bring in the agriculture sector strategic plan, specifically about the issues of climate change. We also participate in the sector reviews where we come up with recommendations on climate change. Also do a lot of work around budget advocacy. We are making a work about that with water for agricultural production, and we come up with a number of recommendations. This time we came up with two recommendations. Specifically, one was on participatory irrigation master plan, and also taking into consideration in place the simple irrigation schemes for smallholder farmers. Since these are our target groups.
delivered in different programs and projects that we took in the past 25 years, basically contributing to mitigation and adaptation. But our focus mainly is adaptation. Our interest is basically to see how can we enhance the resilience of smallholder farmers. There's a project that we're doing with Code, and this is also we're doing in partnership with the committee that also is the FCC, whereby we're looking at enhancing all the integration of the risk management into aspects of the DRR bill, the climate change bill, but also looking at the wetland bill. And here our areas of focus is basically research and also policy engagement. I remember that was last year where we took members of parliament to do that, and our focus here was basically to identify what are those policy issues that should be brought to the full parliament for consideration in this regard. And we developed a policy brief, which shared with the members of parliament. We have that. We have that under partners for resilience, and that program is basically for 5 years. We are doing it with CARE International, Wetland International, and also that is PFCC. They also are partners that we are working on the same project. Then, in regards to integration of climate change-related policies, we also developed another project which is basically looking at climate resilience of agro-ecosystems. As also it goes, basically, ecological land use management. We are looking at restoration of degraded wetland ecosystems. But our areas of focus here, we develop what we call best practices. We come up with our core models. One we call it the climate resilient agro-ecosystems model. Then we have one which is basically looking at community managed seed security model. Then we have one which is called gender action learning system model, which is basically about mainstreaming gender to climate change aspects. This project has been trialed for the past 9 years, and this had a lot of success in the different forums. We established what we call agroecology centers of excellence, and also what we call the climate resilient centers of excellence in over 10 districts in Uganda, where smallholder farmers can go land, practically do, and see how adaptive measures can be mainstream to the day-to-day life. Because our focus is not mainly basically looking at core principles, but we are looking at smallholder farmer with different adaptive strategies which can basically enhance its resilience. You see that, yes, if we talk about resilience, we have a smallholder farmer who is resilient in its nature. In this regard, we got a project around climate resilience, our ecosystem. This was also in line with that was the World Bank project, but also in line with Uganda University, the Center for Agroecology, and this has been piloted out in different districts in Uganda. And so far, so many improvements have been figured out where we have centers of excellence on agroecology, which is basically looking at climate resilience. How can we enhance the resilience of the smallholder farmers? Through enhancing adaptive capacity of the smallholder farmers. But this is also looking at how do we use these resources within the community to enhance resilience. We have another project which is basically looking at seed security, where we've established what we call community seed banks. And these community seed banks are basically looking at our indigenous seed system. Farmers are basically integrated or empowered on how to save the indigenous seed varieties that they have. But besides saving this, we are doing research on the genotypes of these seed varieties that they have. So the essence is here is to enhance the adaptive capacity, but also to increase the diversity. And we're doing this collaboration with the Plant Genetic Resource Center, NARO, and also Biodiversity International. So, whether it's aside, and also the gene bank is using or is storing aside, in case of any climate show, and this is a global back to show for the government to get these genotypes that are always contaminated. Then there's three other components that we're looking at. What we are looking at, enhancing resilience for the right food. With this, we are doing it with Oxfam International. And to us, we are thinking once smallholder farmers have the right to land, ultimately they will have the right to seed and the right to food. What are we doing in this project? This project is basically looking at also enhancing the resilience of these smallholder farmers. Through one, enhancing this or empowering smallholder farmers to have the right to their land, the right to seed, but also the right to food. Because you can't talk about the right to food without land, without seed. but also this has also enhanced the capacities for them to have the diversity in terms of the genotypes that we have, but also the adaptive measures that we are taking into play. Because where this project is being piloted, this is northern Uganda, we are looking at the Teso region, but these are areas that we know that are prone to all calamities in terms of the climate shocks. But also what we are trying to do is also support in coming up with it, because we know we have the DRF bill, but we are talking with an act in this regard. This also comes into play with the climate change bill. So how can we also support maybe this team so that yes, we fast track the climate change act? Because much as we do this kind of work, but without that act, there's nothing much we can do as a society. But what we've done is to empower the smallholder farmers. Can they have the right to say this is what we state going forward? Do they have the right over their land? Do they have the right to their resources? Because once they have the right over these resources, empowerment is very easy to accumulate, but also enhance the adaptive capacity comes into play. Because without the right to land, you don't expect women maybe to go for. Specifically, if you are looking at also enhancing these adaptive capacity, because you realize that much of the adaptation strategy technologies we are talking about, most of them are, one, they are cost effective, but also they require their long term, because you not achieve resilience in no time, because this is a coping mechanism that you develop over a series of time for you to have the adaptive capacity. At the end of the day, you become resilient. But we cannot talk about resilient communities where they have no right to land, they have no right to food, they have no right to sea. So what this project is basically doing is empowering these smallholder farmers in those aspects, but also looking at the aspect of gender, how we mainstream. Because we know climate change affects gender differently, but it's women who are mainly affected. So we try to empower these women. This empowerment goes beyond knowing your rights, but what you have. Because we know some of the technologies are labor intensive, and it's women, mainly the women that suffer some things. But what do? We are doing research on some of the technologies. How do we make them gender sensitive? So that's where the model comes in, what we call the gender action learning system, which has been piloted in so many countries. And we are lucky that Uganda has been one of the pilot countries that has become a case study all over the world for gender mainstreaming climate change. Besides that, then there's another project which we are doing with Tokyo, and this is basically also in Katapi or Monoramo, but it's basically looking at how do we enhance what we call the neglected and underutilized species. I don't know whether you've heard about it, but these are also the species that we basically neglected for a long time. But yet, these are very resilient in terms of climate change. But besides that, in terms of diversity, because you can't talk about agroecology without diversity. And you may not talk about climate resilience when you don't have diversity in terms of species, diversity in terms of ecosystems, diversity in terms of ecosystems all in totality. So what we're trying to do here, we've established what we call community seed banks centers. These seed banks are used as storage areas where farmers store these neglected and endangered species, which the Central Gene Bank that we have uses it as a research center, but also to enhance the capacity of smallholder farmers. How do we do research on these species? But then how do we empower these smallholder farmers also to undertake what we call participatory research, and also bring to enhance the resilience of these species on the ground? This has also worked out specifically in these particular areas, because these are areas which are poverty, but also in terms of food insecurity. Because now we are getting to see communities that are empowered with, in terms of food, they are food secure. They have now cereals where they have seed, they have food at all times, but also where we see community action plans that are being drawn at community level, and then taking on their community leaders, asking them to implement these community action plans. And these community action plans are climate resilient action plans that are taken right from the sub-county level to the district level. And this is where we come into play to now design ordinances for these communities, and how do they take over what is asked their leaders, committing them to do what they are supposed to do. So this has greatly empowered these communities in this particular area. Then the last project is basically also looking at enhancing what we call the right to food, securing the right to food. This is in Omoro, this is also in Kuru and West Nile. This is basically also looking at how do we enhance the resilience of these smallholder farmers. Our focus is basically smallholder farmers because this is our mandate. Because for us we think that once this smallholder farmer has the right to food, has the right to land and seek, you you will be able to realize what we call resilience in the long term. Because we cannot talk about resilience when we don't have access and security over the thing as it is like. So what have we been able to achieve in the long span of this project that is being developed? One, we are seeing ordinances that are being developed. We are seeing a change in mindset of the community. But also the other aspect is the full security that we are seeing communities coming up. Besides that, the centers of excellence that are being developed in the different districts where we operate, where farmers go land, what are some of the technologies we talk about? Maybe we talk about climate risk. Okay, how does a community that is resilient looks like? So these are centers where farmers will go land, but also do pilots, being able to test pilots over everything. And where farmers have free access to this, but also the aspect of early warning systems are also being implemented. That is the recommendation to the Office of the Prime Minister, which are all contained to those policy recently. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Quelam. Now from the presentation of Quelam and Jim, you can already see they are talking about related things. While these people, while Quelam is focusing on smallholder farmers, once this agriculture fails, people go to firewood for income. And that firewood is causing a lot of deforestation and indoor air pollution. At the same time, the money which they have saved from smallholder farmers will now go to treat diseases, including diseases caused by indoor air pollution. So this is the link we should be explaining to people. But we have some, we know we are going to get some comments from members. I will start with some few. If you are directing your question to Jeep or Pelham, and then you specify. But this one is to all of you, to both of you. If you are to take this committee to your sample sites, where will that be for both of you? Because we need area specific. We don't want you to say, I'm working in northern Uganda. Where in northern Uganda? Members of parliament come from all the villages. So we want to know which area you are working. If you're in Kabale, we need to know the same. So where would you take us? Where we can see a number of some of these things you have talked about. And what is the criteria for JIP for distributing these lambs? Because they are needed everywhere. They are needed everywhere. You talked about 25 acres, hectares.
Yes, hectares.
You have planted 15. How much would it cost? Because we want to know. We meet NFA and everybody planting trees, even ministries. We want to know how much it costs to plant 25 acres, hectares. In your work, both of you, do you also quantify the reduction of greenhouse gases? Maybe technically, do you also quantify that? Maybe that can be submitted to Climate Change Department as a contribution of avoided emissions or something like that. And how about the issues of impact evaluation? Do you, because some of you have worked for a longer time, do you do some impact evaluation of your work? And is it possible to share such reports with this committee so that we see the impact that your work has caused? Then lastly, we are going to have Africa Climate Week here in Kampala on 20th to 24th of next month. Africa Climate Week. This is related to the UN Climate Summit by the Secretary General. But we agreed that we should have regional. So Africa region will come to Kampala. Do you have some exhibition activities, or are you participating in this climate week? So I think these are some of my few observations. This
this is for both of you. The participation is for both of you. Members, please welcome. For those who have come slightly when we have started, you can start with your name, and so that the Pelham and the Jeep can know you. Thank you very much. Yes, please, Honorable Wamai. So,
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My name is Jack Wamai. I represent the Pombal in Parliament, and I want to thank you for your presentation and for the work you are doing to protect our environment. I listened with great interest to your presentation, and I have some issues. Somebody talked about preserving water. You know, and you train people how to preserve this water. And we know many of our people in the villages, some of these people cannot even afford. I don't know how you did that, whether you are buying tanks for them, or you are building mabat houses where they can collect this water and preserve this water, or you are doing underground tanks where rainwater is preserved. What is that water used for? At a later stage, it's for irrigation of what? So I want you to clarify. And then somebody talked about climate resilience for farmers. You know, when you talk about that, which crops can be resilient to the climate change? When there's a scourge of sun. I am a member of parliament, but I do a bit of farming. But I've been affected by the heat in the east. I do avocado, Hass avocado, and I planted and my seedlings have withered. So what I'm now doing is try to go to irrigation, which is very expensive, and to irrigate 1 acre of an avocado it costs over 22 million, irrigation alone. So how would you come in to help these farmers or these peasants in the villages on that? And somebody was talking about diversity for the drought and so on and so on. I want to talk about that. Then somebody talked about food silos for the farmers or peasants. Where do you have silos now in the villages? Where are those silos? Because government, we had silos, which the then is built for us and feeds, and they were sold. Now when you talk about silos, the peasants now in the villages, the food they grow, they eat it and sell it for a living. So when you talk about silos for farmers, I was wondering where exactly are those silos? Yes. And then best practices in agro, you know, for the farmers, agro. Just tell us how you can help the people with this weather. Which method can they use when you talk about best practices? So these are some of the views, Mr. Chairman, I wanted these people.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Amai. Additionally, in the end, you talk about NDP3. What gaps have you seen in NDP3 as far as climate change resilience NDP3? Then, for both of you again, can you have dialogue for members of parliament as you work towards this bill, the DRR, the climate change bill, the Wetland Act? Honorable Minister.
Thank you so much. I want to thank the team for the presentations. I not recall specifically the question, but I'm interested in the Light in Africa project. As you may well know, the districts that you have named here may not include some of the districts where we come from. Butaleja is found in Bukedi sub-region, and it is one of the most poverty-stricken areas in Uganda. I'm interested in requesting the group that as members of parliament who belong to this committee, we also want to benefit from these projects. But how do we do it with you? In fact, you may realize that even in the districts we have been and we have been doing all this, we may not even be aware of those members of parliament who take those areas. I specifically tried the project of lighting my district for the women, and for us we inject a lot of money in these things. So I want to find out how you can do it at a cost-benefit, level for us members of parliament. We have groups that we have set up for the women, the youths. We have health centers which don't have power. We also have schools which don't have power. And for us in my district, we have come up with a policy of primary 7 to start with mini boardings. But you find that the pupils are told to come with Tadova, the candles, which is very dangerous. So how are you going to help me as a member of parliament? With my colleagues who are on this committee, we want to be the first beneficiaries before we take out the message. Hey, thank you.
Yes, Honorable Sabiji.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. I think my question goes to, is it Jacob? Yeah, when you were making the presentation, I think there is a tree you showed. Can I have a look at it again? Now, my question actually goes to number 2. Improve wood burning industries. Now, is there anything you have done in that area? Because, particularly when one is engaged in tree planting, it is a cycle where you find you are thinning and all of that one goes to waste. You find eventually you are harvesting, a lot goes to waste. Now, is there anything that has been done in improving wood burning industries in Uganda, maybe to produce something? Because you are concentrating on the byproducts, on the use of the byproducts. But how about production of those products? Because if one is engaged in tree planting, depending on what you want to produce, there is a process of thinning, and that wood is wasted. When it comes to harvesting, a lot is wasted. Are there any means of how those ones can actually be utilized through probably improvement of production of either charcoal? I've not seen that one at all, and I would be interested to see that. Then maybe secondly, again it is right in Africa. As my colleague said, this seems to be concentrated only in one area, and yet this is quite essential. How did you select these pilot districts? Why, when you were piloting, why didn't you pilot? Although few they may be, but it is a good representation of the country instead of concentrating in one area.
Mr. Chair, I want to thank Jeff and the for very good submission. I am called Macho is the spokesperson for the people of Busia municipality in the tennis parliament. Mr. Chair, I want to thank from the bottom of my heart these two groups that have done what government is supposed to do. I really want to thank you. I am one of the beneficiaries because I have some 2 schools in Busia where I went and saw the energy saving stoves, and until now the testimony in those schools has saved a lot of wood, and I wish we have capacity. The fact I wish I was a Minister of Environment, I would have given a special directive
that this money that people are swindling every day, they better give it to JIP to build energy saving stoves in our schools. But however, I picked a lot of interest in your submission on the issue of East African civil society for sustainable energy and climate action project, because due to the integration of East Africa, we are believing in a lot of benefits from all countries. My people attend a lot of environmental and climatic conferences in Kenya than Uganda, and that's why I want to request what my brother has requested, Honorable Engineer, that I see there are many good projects that can be geared towards the border, but JIP, you have a lot of your good projects majorly in the center and the northern Uganda. The same to Palm. I don't know what a lot of interest you have in the northern Uganda, but I do request that you concentrate but give special interest to the border. Because last Saturday I was meeting groups working with the charcoal selling. And there's a group I met called the Charcoal Hustlers. These people have saved 18 million shillings. 18 million shillings on account. But it is the first time that I talked to them about making briquettes. Are they called briquettes? Yes. And by surprise, Kenyans have crossed to Uganda. They are making briquettes and selling them in Kenya expensively, because Ugandans are lacking who to train them and equipment. Therefore, JIP, I invite you now. I invite you now in front of my chairman to Busia to go and teach my people how to make what? Briquettes. With the briquettes. And good enough, I saw something about the green enterprise. I met a group called, where is it? The Busia Charcoal Association. Almost 300 women collecting dust for charcoal and selling in Kenya. You know, we are selling a raw material because we are lacking trainers. I therefore, with this information, request you to do more partnerships on the border. This will help us a lot. And out of the only 2 schools you have helped in Busia, there is a very big problem, because our places, the desertification has grown from Kenya, because the cost of wood in Kenya is more expensive than the cost of charcoal. So the more energy saving stoves we shall have in schools will save a lot. That's why you see our schools, the cost of fees is very expensive. Not because the teachers are paid highly, but because the wood is bought expensively, making education to be very cost effective. Lastly, I want to appreciate the people who trained in skills, majorly to start a green business enterprise. If you can do this on the border, you'll stop a lot of people who are coming, school dropouts from the district of my colleagues, because they end on the border. And after ending on the border, they begin doing other work that other people call smuggling, which sometimes I call cross-border trade. I therefore request that let's put emphasis on this green business entrepreneurship. It will help a lot of our people. Lastly, Mr. Chair, with your permission, I believe that the Ministry of Education, through skills training, that we gave a lot of money in the budget. I wish JIP can be registered as one of the skills training groups. Since you have a component of renewable energy, majorly the young people, if they have skills of building energy saving stoves, not only in the home, in the schools, but also in the homestead, it will save a lot. Because we in Busia, we buy gas in Kenya, because a gas cylinder of 15 kilos is at the cost of 29,000. But Uganda, it is at the cost of almost 60 to 70. Now, if we had more energy saving stoves in homes, and in fact, I'm really inviting you. If
15 kilo, 12 kilo is about 140.
you see that, but since we are born at the border, we use the other system of crossing and bringing them. It is not smuggling, Mr. Chair. It is just cross-border trade. So we are lucky we buy it a bit cheap. What about the people in Tororo, in Namaingo? And I was happy you have a product for the islands. The islands, the fact we invite you to Migingo, most people call it the forgotten islands of Africa. Migingo Island, it has not even one plant, but those people are cooking every day. Yes, it is in Uganda. Dolwe Island, they are drying fish using wood every day. You see that? Now, where is the wood coming from? If we had energy saving system of drying fish, that would help a lot. So lastly, the Light in Africa project is a gift to Uganda. I pray that your donors should continue giving you money, and even the government of Uganda should counterfund this. Because we have put a lot of focus on hydro energy, which is very expensive, but now this one, my grandmother will use it. My grandmother will use it. But we have areas where electricity he cannot go. And I hope you have carried boxes today for this little sun lamp, so that we begin being ambassadors of the Jeep from now. We members of Parliament. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Mancho. I went to Jeep some time back and I bought 10 of them. And I used them for 2 years.
Does have upgraded this one?
No, you can.
I'll pay for it.
Yeah, so this is a good project, especially as you look at indoor air pollution. The mothers are using this Tadoma for lighting at night, and it is causing a lot of indoor air pollution. But when you have this, it will reduce. That's why you have high mortality of mothers, girls, and children under 5. So this can save them from kerosene.
What I was saying, Mr. Chairman,
yes,
on what my colleague has just said. Cross-border. Not cross-border.
Yeah.
Nothing about cross-border. Maybe if we come up with some trees that grow very fast for people to plant and use that fire. Because you can never get out of people cutting down trees. You know, if they can build trees that take a short time to grow, that the people in the villages can plant and use fire. All those trees have been cut down completely and are not available. So if you did that project, because they're all the same cut down, fire tree, make firewood.
Actually,
yes, those are very good.
What we are doing right now is we are not saying people should just stop using charcoal, but we are saying they should reduce the amount of charcoal they use as we look for alternatives.
Yes.
The day we get the alternative, that's when we shall stop. But if we can have early maturing and fast-growing tree species that can be raised for charcoal, that will be very good. On top of that, we want household to grow the trees they want to use for firewood and charcoal in the woodlot.
Yes.
Chair.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, visitors, for your information and for what you are doing to the nation, most especially to the women. But you know the women, we are the majority. And the women you see in this room, most of us represent women in this parliament. But I have seen most of your activities are done almost in one region. Yet we have other regions and other districts. When do you intend to do it there? And how can we reach you to come and help them, especially training them to mitigate? The word mitigate climate change and mitigation has become common. But our local women don't know what it means. That's one. Secondly, we are looking at charcoal. You are not talking too much on the Kavera. Before I came to Parliament, I think they passed a law burn some villas. I don't know where it ended. That one is not working. We are looking at the Cavera.
That one I will explain.
And we are looking at every day our people die. When they die, we bury them in tombs or graves of tiles and cement. What are you telling us about that? And this wreath of ribbons, how are we mitigating those ones also? We need to be inclusive in everything. My belief and my thinking is that why our soils are becoming infertile, it's because we are running with those graves which hide our remedies, not to help us fertilize the soil again according to the law of God. And the question is, when are you reaching the western region? You are in Kabare. At first you mentioned 60 districts, but you are in 4. Kabare, Tungamo, Chiga, Rwanda. You are living in Kanungu, you are living in Kisoro, you are living in Punjiri, Mitoma, and those sites. Yet we are also Ugandans, and climate change is also affecting us. Now with these solar lights, are you selling them?
Yes.
At how much?
20.
20.
Are they solar?
How are you giving them to women? When you give them, will they pay in installments or they pay you once and you go with your money?
No.
Thank you.
Or I can explain it right now.
You will answer them at once.
Before I forget,
Just note it.
This my young man talked about climate and gender. What is it that it is there, climate and gender? How are you helping us to manage those two? So that when we reach our women, we tell them what they are supposed to do.
Honorable. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Isaac Mwasozi, People's Choice of Brazil Municipality. I want to thank you, Madam Ruth, for steering the team and the partnerships. I have read through the list of partnerships. I see many members here. I have only 2 questions. One is to you, Jim, and your other partners. I want to invoke Chair Article 164, Clause 2 and 3, which require Parliament to monitor public expenditure. This is not public expenditure, you are private in this. But what we are doing is for the public good. As government, we spend money on similar activities that you are doing. We would like to share with you, or allow you share with us the lines that, or areas where you are. You can keep submitting through our committee, such that we know where we don't need to appropriate money in our budget cycle. Like in this period where we are now, this March to end of April, May, we are looking, you find that you're handling similar activities where other sectors are also doing similar activities. You may find yourselves even in same regions. So it helps us to appropriate accordingly. It's information that we need to share here. That's what I wanted to do.
They have actually made recommendation along that line.
Okay. And then the last one, Chair, goes to Pelam. Pelam, you talked of empowerment. What specific strategies, other than awareness of the rights to food, to land, access? You said that you're dealing with smallholders in building resiliency. I don't know how you are getting the funding, but other than the awareness, do you have any other practical activities that you are engaged in and where would like to share? We have Mabila Forest in Brazil municipality. People are watching on it. We need your support to work together to build it. Thank you so much, Chair.
Yeah, maybe just a small comment. Most civil society, and even government, focus on the areas that are hit hard, and they leave out the intact areas that they still assume is not suffering. But in the long run, the impact goes. It's like starting to destroy a tributary of River Nile, and then slowly we will come to the Nile itself. this could be an area of lobbying with your donors. That they should not only focus the areas that are already suffering. They should do both. Otherwise, it will reach them.
Thank you, Chair. I'll finish.
Okay. Okay, so this question you will answer it briefly. And if there is anything you want to submit to us additionally as far as these questions are concerned, some you may answer now, some you may go and make a small write-up and send to us. So just make for us highlights, but you can see that this is a very good meeting which can open our eyes. We have 27 members here and they want to sell alarms right now. But you know, in our experience, unless you demonstrate something, unless you pilot something, communities don't, even the awareness you are promoting, if you don't have tangible things that can show that this irrigation system can work, they take long to copy. So you need some pilot, you need some demonstration projects that can show that this thing can work.
Honorables, thank you very much. Indeed, your question is indicated that you've taken a lot of interest in what we have come to share with you. We thank you so much. In fact, we are so very, very happy, as we were happy when we received the invitation. I want to clarify on this issue of the project distribution in the country. First, when JIP was founded, and when they started working, it was on a very humble background, very humble. They had, those people who had very little money, and they were contributing from their own pockets almost. And they were not very rich. One was a journalist, one was a farmer, one was a nurse, the founders. And when we came in, now those were the founders, now when we came in as a secretariat, still we were really poor. And what we could do was to start, because we were based in Kabalagala, in Kampala, and we had to go to communities to do the job. We had no vehicle, we had very little money, so we chose to go to the nearby districts around Kampala, because we could go by taxi and take our whatever we wanted to use for training materials and all that by taxi. That's what the reason why it was in PG, when we went around Kampala. That was the reason. But as we started growing and getting partners and raising funds, the partners we go to, the funders, those funders usually call themselves partners. They don't want to be called the donors or funders, but they are donors and funders, in bracket partners. The partners so far we've worked with for many years have already been working in Uganda in specific areas on specific issues. And when we send our proposals and whatever the budgets and everything and our activities, they have always requested us to move to the very areas where they are. Yes, that is a problem. And we could not say no, because we wanted our services to be delivered to people. But unfortunately, unfortunate or fortunate, we go to those very areas. For example, when you talked about in Imbali region, those people have these other projects within Imbali region. When we worked with the Plan International, they had Luwero and Tororo. So we were with the Plan in Tororo and in Luwero. Yes. And apart from CAR, the one where we talked very much with the parliament members, with the district leaders, that one when we discussed with our partners, we felt we would take the projects in the areas where we had worked before, where people would be added to what they have already got, a little they got, and add more knowledge and projects.
Okay.
So we did that.
Thank you.
But for example, yes,
we want you to to move faster on the answer, more details can come. Because after you, you're going to meet other persons.
Yes.
So this is a bit brief. Yeah, be brief for some of the questions we have. So let's first finish. Okay.
Okay.
We raised a number of questions.
Yeah, there were so many questions. On the light distribution, Paul can give more details about the light distribution.
We don't have any criteria of land distribution because this is basically having somebody there who can mobilize the community and we come. So we have not really had any criteria of choosing where we are going for the land distribution. It's a countrywide where it is off grid, so we don't have any criteria. Honorable, I'm not, right now I cannot say that we can come to your place next week because I'm out of stock at the moment, but when the alarms come, I can let you know. I'll through maybe the club, then all through, then I will just mobilize the committee, then we come. We don't have any criteria about that.
But please, in addition to that, very quickly, when people are mobilized, we need very many, because we have to use fuel and all that. It is so disappointing when you drive to Butaleja and you find 50 people or 40. It would be so good if you find 300 or 500. So that would mobilize the whole constituency.
Yeah.
Yes. And sometimes when they come, they say, we thought you people were giving them to us free. They come and say, they were for selling. But we have to create, to talk to them about solar. Why do we need solar? Why do we use solar? How do you use it before we?
Okay.
Yeah.
The message about African climate week participation.
The African week participation.
African climate week participation. GIP is coming, but we are participating. I personally will be there, but we are still. I think we shall look into that after the extension. We shall look into the opportunity of this. Yeah. Then,
Chairman, we are trying to answer questions.
We had so many questions.
When you look at Ochomai in your file, last on that session there is the amount of money that you can use per hectare, from clearing to planting to management up to harvest.
Up to first weeding.
Almost harvest, because after there's the rain these days because of climate change. There's some weeding that comes with it.
Yes.
So there is a budget. There is the amount in your file on Ochomai. Which other one?
Improved wood burning industries. Engineer was asking about it. But I think there is a lot of development. These are some of the strategies which were developed in 1983, and I think that is when the BRICS were starting. But if you look at the current status in Uganda, people are changing from the wood burning to the, let me say, sawdust, like in bakeries. Some factories are really trying to change from using wood to using electricity in most of the burning and cooking in bigger factories.
So where can you take?
What I'm concerned about is the waste that would still be produced for energy use. Because you remember what I said was that when you are involved in tree planting and so on, there is a period when you are feeding, and it is a must, you must feed. And most of those ones go to waste. Now, even when you are harvesting, there is a lot that goes to waste.
Yeah.
Now, how can that one be economically turned into energy use? That was my question. Because the work is done locally. There is a lot that is lost. A lot is lost. And there would have been an improvement in that area. So that one becomes also part of the energy use. Because that is sustainable. Because you are planting, replanting, and so on. It is sustainable that way. So, and I have not seen those technologies at all in the villages at least.
Yeah, the villages.
And although you are concentrating on schools, actually a lot of firewood and charcoal is used in the villages, more than even in the schools.
Yes, Honorable, when those founder members came up with that, definitely they had nothing to do with it, they could not, they were not able. What they wanted to do is to expect and to inform the government to put in place policies helping those people what to do by that time. Right now, the Minister of Energy was trying to work on that, but it was done on a very small scale. I don't know why. They looked at the chapel and they looked at the people trees where wood would not be wasted so much.
Okay.
And they started demonstrating.
Okay, what we are going to do, we are going to put all these questions again.
Yes.
Okay? In addition to what you have captured.
Yes.
We are sending them to you. So if there is any comment, even from Pelam, we will just need some general highlights, and then the details can come. Yes.
Thank you. We'll try to be brief. We know you have another team to meet. About the specific locations, if we chose to take this committee where we do our work, so we will share that in our write-up that we are going to send through. But just an example, for example, in Teso sub-region, when you go to Soroti, there are specific sub-counties we work with, and we'll be sharing all these details. And quantifying the green gas emissions, my colleague here will chip in a second. But I wanted to say that about assessing our work, impact evaluation. We do this quite often, and we are happy to share with you our evaluation reports for you to see how our interventions are impacting the lives of our people. Africa Climate Week, yes, we are very ardent participants. Sometimes we hold side events. It will throw more light when time allows, and also on water for preservation. The gaps in NDP we will share. We actually gave input. We gave a position paper during the process of developing NDP3 to NPA. So we are happy to share. But I think in one of the forums, some members of this committee received our submission. But we are happy to share.
But on that one, we have seen very nice objectives, but with no strategy on climate change. Okay. We have to look at
we will revisit and be able to share. Possibility of a dialogue, yes, we're more than happy to hold a special dialogue for this committee to discuss issues of climate change. It's actually within our work.
Including the upcoming bill, related bill, climate change bill.
We are happy to do this. We are happy to do this. Many times we have been the ones mobilizing you. Now that you are asking, it will be much easier for us to mobilize resources to have such
now we want those issues to reach Parliament directly.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for that opportunity. I think Jim tried to elaborate on why we are here and not there. Sometimes it's donor tight, but as PELAM, we are, because we work through our members, so our presence is where our members are. What we are doing recently is to try and spread across the country by encouraging, setting our objectives and encouraging many organizations in different parts of the country to join. That's the only way we are going to be able to reach the different parts of the country. I would allow in a minute my colleagues to respond to some of the issues they have captured. And then the detail, like you advised, will be shared in writing.
This can maybe for the African Climate Week specifically. Yes, we'll hold a side event and we'll share presentation. Actually, we are going to be launching the agroecology of climate resilience in Africa. But also, we have an action hub, which will already also be part of. But maybe what I would caution this committee specifically. So this is a follow-up from what we had in Madrid, especially the issues. Maybe my task for the committee would be, because the fact that this is the African Climate Week, remember these are follow-up actions we had. One is the issue of the NBS, the nature-based solutions, which is now becoming a contradiction, especially for the developing countries. Because you look at countries like Shell are using NBS for the interest of being this, but in the way they're actually going on with the extraction oil, which is also the aspect of what we're using NBS as a solution to climate change adaptation. But also the emphasis should be on adaptation, because our emphasis as LDCs is basically adaptation, because we know government, the emphasis so much of the mitigation aspect, because of these are white elephant projects that come with a lot of money, where government has a lot of interest. But remember, much of our aims basically to enhance our adaptive capacity. So The launch here basically want to show the whole of Africa that yes, agriculture has worked and can work, and that's this where we want to launch this strategy for agriculture for climate resilience, and this is where we want to have an action hub to show how does this work. But maybe the other aspect will be also the issue of the loss and damage for the members of parliament will be maybe exploring this on the floor for, because this is an African center to bring together all different countries. How do we treat this? Because these are issues that we left unattended to in Madrid. Because for the vote countries, their interest was different from what we wanted to do, but also how the amount of loss that we go through. But how are we able to quantify this as a country? Because a lot of loss and damage has happened in this country through climate change impacts. But we don't have any quantification as a country to do, or maybe to present these papers and say, yes, this is the much we've lost, but then how do we restore this ecosystem back to its glory? Lastly, will be the aspect of climate financing. This is also another reason that was unattended to. And yet, this is what we went ahead aspiring to have, to see these countries commit, but this was not also realized. So as members of parliament on this committee, maybe we would urge you to help us to see how do we flow this during the African Climate Week. Going back to your question, looking at what practical work we do. From our mandate, we are not a grassroots organization. We do this through the mandate of our member organization. But however, our mandate is on capacity building. We do practical trainings for our member organizations. Then we do learning visits through our members. We live at, because what we are trying to pilot is that the best practices that we piloted to see what has worked and what has not worked. For example, you talked of Buyukwe, because we have these practices around YAD. It's an organization. If you want to see maybe aspect to do with climate resilience, there are these centers of excellence that you can look at and see, benchmark and see. This is what we are talking about. Then lastly, looking at climate change and gender. Yes, we've done a lot of studies on climate change and gender. And why do we basically focus on climate change and gender? Because we know it's usually women who are affected. But what have we done? Like I've told you, for us to work from models. There's a model that has worked not only in Uganda, but it's now international recognized, what we call the gender action learning methodology, which was to empower men and women, girls. So, gender action learning systems methodology. This was piloted by Oxfam, so which we've used for over the past 10 to 20 years now. And what we basically do here is training, because it empowers women to vision what is their desired future they want to see, but how do we reach this future they want to see. It empowers women and men. More details, maybe this can be provided in the
Okay. No more comments. Thank you very much, members, honorable members, for your questions and comments and appreciation. Thank you very much, our visitors and our partners and our implementers in climate change, adaptation and mitigation. Some of the terminologies are new to some of us, but we know we shall catch up with you. And as a committee, we pledge to work with you and to reach where you have not reached, and to work with many people so that our country becomes back in its former glory without any damage caused by climate. We wish you the best and keep working hard for the benefit of our country.
Merci.
Members, we have an in-house meeting.
Thank you. Yeah.